that is our blueprint. Blue. We are working together alongside the Call an All Red campaign, the statewide campaign. We know that in order to be voters as possible, we have great candidates running in almost every county. We are trying to ensure that we can win those 5 seats necessary to stop vouchers. There are 5 House district seats that we have to win, that we have to flip, so we get the vote to stop the vouchers. And so we are putting those candidates forward. If you go to our social media, if you follow us on our website, you can see where those targeted races are. And if you live in those areas, then you're seeing increased block walking, you're seeing signs, you're seeing the canvassing, you're getting the text messages.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Ronald Gordon with Texas in Color. And boy, if I was driving, I'll be all over Texas, Miss Bill. I'll be all over the place. And I enjoy doing what I'm doing right now, meeting all the candidates and getting to know you and the things that you're running for and what you stand for. It's really enlightening to me. And it's an honor to have you come on the show today. So let's start off and tell everybody about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Adrienne Bell, and I am an educator, and I am running for State House District 29 that encompasses Pearland and Manville and Alvin. And so I am running to protect public education and to fight for working families. And I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, and I'm really excited to be a part of this journey because the education of our children is very important to me. And when I see what our governor is trying to do to public schools, it really concerns me, and it caused me to get in the race.
Okay. So you pretty well answered. I'm going to ask you again, what motivates you to run for the Texas House of Representatives, and why did you choose District 29?
Well, when Governor Abbott started last session in really trying to get his way in having school vouchers or school choice, whatever pretty name try to give it, it became real concern. It was becoming a personal item. And then after he lost that, well, then when it came time to run for office, he started putting in people or supporting people with money, those that supported vouchers. And so as a public school teacher, it really just concerns me greatly that he would have a personal vendetta and use it to defund our public schools. Our schools have not been funded since 2019. And we have schools that have budget problems that our governor is just ignoring.
Mm.
I'm running in District 29 because I live in District 29.
Okay. All right. So can you share some key experience in your background that have prepared you for this role in state government?
Well, I work with children, and I have been a field organizer. My background has been business management, and I have managed teams, and I have managed budgets. And I've also worked as a deputy field director where I managed like 150 field organizers. So I've been a part of building teams and working cooperatively, being able to work together and to build consensus. And I think that's one of the things that's missing in the state house is that I know the representatives that for our area, they really don't talk to you. And they're not a part of what you are. They don't have the town halls where we can get to know who they are. So it is as if we have no representation. And so we need to change that. We need people who are friendly, people who have compassion on what others are going through and what they need. And they're not looking for the government to be a handout, but they are definitely looking for the government to be a help when we go through hurricanes or the storms that we've been experiencing where people need help. And I've got that kind of, background. I'm a person and I'm eligible to run for this office and be able to serve people on the first day.
All right. So, what are the top three priorities if elected to represent District 29 in Texas House of Representatives?
The top for sure is public education. Over 70% of our students in District 29 go to public schools, and we have some really good public schools in our area, and we would not have the capacity to have that many of our students in private schools because we don't have the private schools there. And one thing that we have to look out for is to all of a sudden have pop-up schools that just start operating because of the money the state is giving out, per student. And so that leads to property taxes. Our property taxes are pretty increasing, and because our property values have really gone up. And if we would fund our public schools, we'd have less reliance on property taxes. So those, go together. And also to be able to have affordable housing. Our our homes have, really, really increased in value. So young couples starting off, it would be hard for them to purchase a home in our area because when you used to be able to buy a home for under 200,000, now you're looking at they're over 300,000. And to be able to have measures that affect home buying and encourage it.
Yeah, I want to go back to something you said that caught my attention. That Abbott has been hanging on to their school money since 2019.
Yes, we have billions in surplus. When COVID hit, we had SR funds that came from the federal government, and those funds expired the beginning of this school year. And so they're no longer there. And we were very dependent on those funds. They provided tutoring for students, because they had been home. They provided different resources. And with that money gone from the federal government, it's up to the state to do what the state is supposed to do, and that's fund public education. But they haven't done so because they didn't have to once COVID kicked in. And Abbott has been hanging on, to the budget surplus we have right now is the size of budgets of 24 states. That's our surplus. And since our surplus is that large, and we are supposed to be, as a state with a constitutional right for our students to have free public education, we are violating our students' rights, that they're not receiving what they're supposed to be receiving as far as education is concerned.
Now, you just said something that really bothers me. The federal government send us money, and yet he doesn't take it and it goes away. How can one man
he took it. He took the S funds.
Okay.
They were just given for a certain length of time. They were not time limited. And after a certain period of time, the funds stopped.
Okay. I got
And
you.
they knew that from the beginning. Yes.
So to me, they're playing with the kids of Texas for their education. Teachers who need an increase in pay. Man, I could go on and on about that, but Texas is a growing state facing challenges in infrastructure. What are your plans to improve transportation and public infrastructure in your district and state at large?
I think of resiliency when you talk about infrastructure, and because Brazoria County is considered a coastal county, we are very subject to being a part of flooding and being a part of the hurricanes that come along. And if you're out in this part of the state, when a hurricane hits Galveston, there's one way out, and everyone sits on 45 because everyone is trying to get out at the same time. And we need plans that are proactive. When we had storms that hit, even in the Houston area, when our electricity continues to go out, And it's so much blame and finger pointing. And, you know, for us who are sitting in our homes without electricity and our food is spoiling, we're not caring about the blame. We just want our electricity that we are paying for. And part of our infrastructure is fixing our electricity grid.
Mm.
And whether that is plugging us in to another state or making sure that our grid is absolutely working. Those are some of the things that we have got to do.
Man. Okay, education has always been a major concern for Texas voters. How would you work to improve public education in your district and ensure equal access to quality education for all students?
First, we have to fund education. We won't improve education without the funding of our schools. Um, that's our first thing, and that is to make sure that we get the votes necessary in the House. We have so many Republicans that have sided with Abbott um, to push for school vouchers and make it sound as though we're taking away parental rights and parental choices, which is not true. Public schools must educate everyone. And we really need the message to be heard from parents. If you have a student who is handicapped, if you have a student who has behavior problems, if you have a student, well, those are like our major ones. Private schools don't have to take every student. They can be selective in who they take. And public schools don't operate like that. So in order for our education to grow and to strengthen and to make sure that all our students have equal access to high quality education, we've got to fund our schools. We've got to, it started back with Nixon, when Nixon had the report of our public schools were broken, and it started the conversations that public schools were just broken, which just isn't true. But it started the public to distrust public education. And this has been a fight, and it is now coming to a head in Texas to where, saying that we now want to take $8,000 and it follows the student to a school. But what they're not telling you is that $8,000 won't fully pay for tuition. So how are you going to pay for the extra amount of tuition for your child? You got to be able to do that. And so we just got to fund education to make sure that we can fully operate like we should be operating.
Yeah. Okay. Accessing healthcare continues to be a significant issue in Texas, especially in the rural area. What policies will you support to increase healthcare access and affordability for your people out there in your district?
Well, I think we still need to expand Medicaid. It is something that's been on the table. It is something our governor rejected because of President Obama. And it is something that we were given, but because we didn't want it, that money went to other states. Also in our rural areas, they need clinics. We need mental health hospital in our area. That we didn't have a major one, and we have mental health issues. Our rural areas, they need access to community-based health centers, some where they don't have to drive 100 miles to get health care. We need to make it accessible to people, but also make it affordable as well.
Okay. Texas has one of the highest uninsured rates in the country. How do you plan to address that issue?
Well, we already have some of that being addressed with our healthcare program. Um, One of the things we have is just making sure that people can afford healthcare and that they receive healthcare that is going to help them, because it's still quite expensive to be able to afford it. And just to make sure that we know we need healthcare, but when you have families and you're trying to decide in your budget what you can and cannot do, sometimes, especially for younger people, healthcare is put on the shelf because, I'm still young, I can still do things when everyone needs healthcare. I would like to see an environment where everyone has healthcare, and it is not for a selective few, but it's for everyone involved.
Okay. How will your policy support job creations and small businesses in District 29?
Well, I support small business. I would love to see small businesses flourish and be able to help provide incentives for small business creation. I like the idea of Kamala Harris talking about becoming president and being able to help small businesses funding with not 5,000, but $50,000, because I really believe that when you can take care of yourself, when you can take care of your family, then there's a growth to our community. And we all have different skills, and everyone, nowadays just not cut out for 8 to 5 jobs. Some people want to be gardeners and grow healthy, fresh food. And I think they need to have that opportunity as a small business to do that. And so I will look for incentives to help small businesses not only start, but be sustainable and also grow and be a part of like the import export business that's going on, and where there's like a hub in Houston that provides those services, but we don't have that type of hub out in our area that will teach and help and show people how to do it instead of just talking about it, but actually walking through processes.
Yeah. In the light of inflation and the rising cost, what would you propose in helping families in Texas to manage their financial strain? How would you be able to help them?
We'd have to help them get better paying jobs and being able to get skills that would help them prepare for the future, such as you have jobs now that are being created because of AI, jobs that are clean energy jobs, but they need high paying jobs. The minimum wage of 7.25 is not enough to take care of a family. And so it is to provide high paying jobs to help families grow and to help families be able to take care of themselves. I always believe at the end of the day, people just want to take care of their families.
Yes. The environmental issue, you touched base on that a little bit, is gaining more attention, especially after severe weather events in Texas. How would you address climate change and promote substantial energy in the state?
Well, our state is the win capital or the champion. And since we know how to produce wind, Texas really has the ability to be a leader in climate change. But what we need are people who believe in science that are able to make those types of decisions. When we know that we are a coastal area and we know that hurricanes are getting more ferocious, we can just, tell what happened, the past few weeks. We know that we've got to address climate change. We need clean energy jobs that will help when we have explosions and leaks and chemicals being released in our air, and the companies don't have to tell us what type of chemical is being released. Those laws can be changed, and we need to allow people to be more involved in what's going on in our environment or in their environment, and to make sure that it's safe, that our communities are safe. We have good clean water, we have good clean air for people to breathe.
Do you have any plans to work on water conservation and protect our natural resources in Texas?
We have to, because our population continues to grow. We have to make sure that we'll have water, and we have good water and clean pipes that water comes through. And so making sure that we've got water, that is something we've got to ensure, and something that we will work on in District 29.
Okay. Okay. What is your stance on criminal justice reform, and what specific policies would you support to ensure fairness in the judicial system?
Policing is one thing that I believe helps in criminal justice, where we have police officers who patrol areas that they actually live in, because you'll have more opportunity to know who the residents are and know who the people are in those neighborhoods. We don't want the situations continuing where our people are getting killed on the streets, or uh, knocks on doors and it's the wrong door and someone ends up, dead. And so it takes compassion, it takes training, it takes making sure that if a police officer is removed from a police force because of force on a citizen, that they're not able to work in another police area anywhere, that record follows them. And so making sure we have courts and systems in place that are not penalizing people just for penalizing them. One of the things that one of the laws, well, not a law, it is a law concerning e-cigarettes and vaping that was passed in the last session, stated that if a student was caught vaping, that they were immediately moved to a alternative education placement. And I find that to be so punitive for someone who's never been in trouble at school, but they did one thing. Should they be vaping in the restroom at school? Of course not. But what is it saying as a society to where the first thing we do is punish them? And so that's one law that I want to work on to change when I get to the State House.
Okay. Now, Texas has seen debates over the Reproductive Act, particularly changes in federal law. What is your position on women's rights and healthcare access, and how do you plan to support them?
Supporting women's right to choose?
Yes.
I definitely support and believe, I trust women. And I trust women to be able to make their own decisions concerning their body, and that it is not up to men to decide the reproductive rights of a woman.
You know,
And that's my stance on it.
you hit a point right there. How is it that we got old men deciding what's right for a woman? I don't get it. Is it a control thing, or is it just backwards and not understanding?
They have the mindset of father knows best. And it doesn't matter how old we are on the other side, but it's like, I know what's best for you. Well, you don't even know me, so I know you don't know what's best for me. When it comes to those situations, a woman who has been raped has to bear that child in Texas. And it is so much thought about the child and being born. And then once the child is born, there is just so much that we don't do in our state to help children. And so you're forcing women to have children, but not providing any help on the other side of it, where a woman has to practically die before she can get any help. And it is just unimaginable that in this state you're thought of. Someone said this my opponent said this at a debate we had the other day, and he called he talked about how the abortion rate is going down in Texas, and he talked about women having recreational abortions. And he used those words, recreational abortion,
Wow.
which is a new term to me. And how can you even think that women have abortions for fun?
Man.
So,
Which leads on to this next question. What sets your campaign apart from other candidates running for this seat?
Well, I just told you what my opponent said. And he's also endorsed by Greg Abbott. And I have so many things that I don't agree with Greg Abbott. First off, public schools and how he is starving our children in the schools. And I say children, those are the schools, because he's responsible as the leader of the state to take care of which would be the schools. And I am very compassionate. I really believe that we should be compassionate to one another and have empathy in what others are going through. If you're unemployed, if you can't find a home, if you need something, that's what we're there for, is to provide resources and services to help strengthen our district. One of the things, and I don't know if this is a part of a question, but I really want to see us stop cutting down trees. That's just something personal for me, is that when we talk about conservation, is we need to plant trees, because the more cement we have, the more flooding has been occurring in our area. And so I want a legacy of parks, of green spaces, where families can go out on Sunday evenings and toss footballs and have a space where they can be, where it's not all buildings in our areas. And so I think what sets me apart is that I really care about people. I care and I love every day other folks' children. And since I can work with children and love children and children love me, then I think that's just a key point of being a servant. And that's what we need, are servant leaders who are not afraid to lead.
Okay. How do you plan to engage and represent the diverse communities within District 29, including minorities and underrepresented groups?
I pretty much have a friend. I'm just gonna say a friend in every group that's represented in our district. We have a majority minority district, and I think as a minority, it's easier maybe to represent minorities because you are part of it and you're not afraid to be a part of it and to mix and to go around. I am just as comfortable talking in front of a group of millionaires as I am talking to folks who are sitting outside under the tree. I can mix in and out. I grew up in South Park, which, a lot of the people in my area went to prison or didn't make it out the neighborhood. And so I'm able to move within different groups, and I have no problem with that in being in part of diverse communities. And I really look forward to that. I look forward to people being able to be in different areas and know that I'm going to represent them and that I'm going to stand and do the hard work necessary to get what they need taken care of.
Okay. What do you think the biggest challenges are for District 29, and how will you work to overcome them?
The biggest challenge in which way?
The challenges that, what challenges do you think District 29 is going through right now?
I think part of it is, I'm going to say what Texas is going through. Texas is experiencing tremendous growth. And with that growth comes the growth problems of transportation, of housing, of making sure we don't have food deserts, of having good schools and healthcare. All of those things that are in 29 is also a part of what Texas is experiencing as a whole. We have some really nice areas in 29. We have some really safe communities in 29. So we are already having things going on that are working. We have people in leadership that are working and getting some things done because things are happening in our area. So I like to see that continue to grow. and continue, especially grow out in our more rural areas that don't feel as connected to the areas such as Pearland, to make sure that everyone feels included in the district, and even that people know that they're a part of District 29 because of the way the district was changed. Some people probably don't know until they go vote which district they actually live in.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I got last question for you. What will you do to ensure transparency and accountability in your role as a state representative?
We should have the main thing that we have, well, one of the main things is a budget. And our budget is a moral document that shows our values. And I had a person tell me once before that they did not want me to uh, be a politician because there's so much corruption in politics, and they didn't want me to be corrupted. And I had to assure them that you go in with your own personality, and you go in. I'm not. And I was like, I'm not going to be corrupted. And we had the long conversation, and at the end, it's like, okay, I guess you'll be okay. And I'm like, yeah, I will be okay, because you surround yourself with people as well who have those same values. And
Yeah.
so to have the transparency, we have the ability where someone walks in, they want to know where, this money was spent. Well, they could see it. If they want to, we have town halls to where people can come out, they can ask questions. What about this? What about that? Then you can be transparent about it. But when you have an elected official that you never see, that you only maybe see when it's election time, they're not being transparent at all, because they're more or less in hiding. And so I won't be that kind of leader. I'll be one that can be touched, one that could be seen, one that will hold conversation and be talked to. And I think that's very important, that
Yeah,
we build up the people's trust in government, because there are a lot of people who only thing they think is that politicians are corrupted.
exactly. I want to go back on one that you were talking about. How her plan is to give money back to small businesses in order for them to succeed. And the problem, it's not really a problem, more of a statement, is Abbott's holding on to money right now. Now, if the
Mm-hmm.
government, let's say Madam President is in office and she sends this money out to the states, are we going to be afraid that Abbott's going to hold on to it, or is this going through SBA? I'm really not too clear how small business can reach that money.
Well, I'm with you on that. I would really like to see it go to the SBA that are set up in the different cities, and that people can get it straight from the SBA. If it goes to the state, we may not ever see that, because I don't trust that we would see it.
Yeah, yeah, because that was ringing in my head when you said something about the education part of it, on how since 2019 public schools haven't gotten any money. But in one hand, they're saying the public schools is in the sham. In the other hand, it wouldn't be there if you give them the money.
That's it. That's
I
it.
mean,
That's it. If you are a homeowner and you have your family, and you got money, and I mean you have billions in surplus, billions, but everybody in your house is hungry, they don't have any clothes, to wear, but you're sitting there holding money. And it's like, what kind of leader are you to do that? And you're doing that, and you're encouraging that it's done. And then you're trying to get other people around you that like that you're doing that. That absolutely makes no sense to me. And you really can't make that make any sense to me.
no, and there's 254 counties in Texas, and there's a fair share of the counties that don't have um one of those schools that they use for voucher private schools. Some counties don't have a
Right.
school at all. And I was talking to
Right.
somebody.
That's why. Yeah.
I talked to somebody the other day. I said, "You want to reach two counties who don't have private schools? Just mention Friday Night Light, because they love their
Mm-hmm.
football. You're gonna take away
Mm-hmm.
that? I don't know. I talked to somebody the other day that it's almost a shoe-in that he's going to win the voucher deal. And I'm saying, okay, I'd love to see that happens and watch the chaos ensued after
Yeah,
that. Because that's exactly what's going to happen.
yeah, yeah. And what is going to affect is minority children
Yes.
in a huge way. Just to be honest about it, because we can't afford $20,000 a year tuition.
And on top of that, the voucher's not going to give that out. No,
No,
it's
it's
not.
going to only give like 8. So you have to make up that difference out of your pocket. So it's a subsidy that they're going to give to the wealthy who are already sending their children, can afford to send their children to a private school.
Mm,
What it boils down to.
wow. I'm just at awe. Well, Miss Bill, I appreciate you taking time out coming on. It was a joy talking to you. And I'm going to talk to you again when you win.
All right.
Oh,
Thank you so much for allowing me to talk on this. I feel like it's a Friday evening, but on this afternoon. And
but
you take care.
before we go, can you tell people how they can help out with your campaign and how they can get a hold of you?
Yes, yes. It's Adrienne Bell for Texas is our Facebook or my Instagram or my Twitter. And then my website is it, no, my website is Bell for Texas. That's the number 4, BELL 4 TEXAS.com.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I look forward to talking to you on November 6th.
All right.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you so much.
All right. You take
Bye.
care. All right. Okay. Bye.
Bye bye.
Recording.
All right, everybody. That was Adrienne Bell right there on Texas in Color, and we appreciate everybody coming on. And we'll get back. And tomorrow we have a lineup. Tomorrow I'll share it with y'all first thing in the morning. So just stay tuned. This is Ronald Gordon with Texas in Color. Have a great afternoon.